Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 of App Store Optimization, Get Your App Noticed, a Skillshare class by Tyler York. This part is called Design an Eye-Catching Icon. You have 1.5 seconds to convince me. So why do icons matter? If you excuse the blurriness of this picture for a second, just look at all these different fashionable shopping icons, and it's pretty easy to tell what's wrong. None of these icons stand out. The only thing that even comes close to standing out is the big blue ugly Urban Outfitters icon that might as well just be something made in paint. I mean, aren't you guys supposed to be fashionable? It still kind of surprises me. Um, you really need your icon to be iconic. And as cheesy as that sounds, it's really going to help your marketing in the App Store if you have a great icon and you have something recognizable that really helps deliver your brand to that audience. The reason why I said you have 1.5 seconds to convince me in sort of the previous title slide is because that's been noted as the length of time that consumers pay attention to an icon in the App Store in sort of vision tracking tests. And so that's not a whole lot of time. You really need to get someone's attention, get them interested, and have them look at your app just from the icon and maybe the title. So, how do you pick an icon direction? I'd like to start by looking at competitors, in part because what consumers expect from your icon plays a pretty big role in what you should be doing. While it's nice to think that you're going to do something that completely bucks the trend, and sometimes doing that can be very successful, oftentimes consumers will look for something like a fork and knife for an eating app, and they'll completely miss your app because it doesn't fit what they already have in mind when they're browsing. So start with the competitive analysis. In your app category, what style is used? When I say style, I mean, is it matte? Is it kind of glossy and shiny? Is it pretty basic, like the whoopee cushion icons that we looked at earlier? Um, what would you say is the style that's common? The second thing is color. So a really easy way to see where you can stand out is just go through all the icons for your competitors and for some of the keywords you want to rank for and look at what color they all are. A lot of times there will be like 3, maybe 4 colors that all of them use. And so you can actually differentiate either by kind of flipping like what's a primary and what's a secondary color while using the same ones, or by using completely different colors and using sort of similar versions of everything else. So color is very important. The graphic or symbol, so to the right over here you see the pocket logo, and it's great. It's very subtle. It's like a little pocket for like a pants, but you wouldn't actually think about that when you initially saw it. So it's got great brand, and then the colors on the bottom are the colors of the app, so that's kind of cool too. But just, you usually will have some sort of graphic or symbol associated with your brand. I mean, even Geico has the friggin' mascot of the gecko. So you want to think about what represents your brand and how you can make that iconic and in a graphic way. And then last is text. So I don't recommend using text if you can help it, but there are a lot of apps where text is either necessary or helpful in the icon. So when you do use text, make sure it's big. Really, you don't want it to be much more than like 4 letters across because there's just not really room for visibility beyond that. And you want it to stand out very sharply from what's around it. And then I like to think about what is called the 10-foot test. So the 10-foot test is if you step 10 feet away from your computer screen right now, which you don't have to do, but if you want to, you can pause the video and do that. You'll notice that you still recognize this icon, right? Or if you pull up your phone and you like sort of lay it down somewhere and then you walk 10 feet away, can you recognize the icons different apps that you use on that phone, and that's a really good way of sort of distinguishing um, whether an icon is noticeable. And so the two keys to passing the 10-foot test are contrast. So is the contrast between the background and the foreground strong? And then how recognizable is that symbol or icon that you have? Now let's look at some icons that I love here. And I like doing this exercise because it gives you an idea of what you're looking for when you are looking for your own icon. So on the left, we have some examples of great icons. You've got this food icon for a food discovery app. It's got this like cool wood style, and it makes it very unique, even though it's using the same symbols that pretty much every other food app uses, which with the fork, knife, and plate arranged as such. A good example of just sort of symbolism is the book, the Day One book, which is a sort of a notepad or note keeper. And I actually think that they could benefit from sort of bigger text here, but other than that, it's a great icon because it stands out from the background. It's got that like kind of transparent white background, so it just looks like a book floating there. And it's very like distinctive. So bottom left is Sparrow, so they're relying on their brand alone for this icon, but it's great for them because it sort of reinforces that brand in their mind, and it also, you already know what it's about for the most part because it's probably about mail. Like very few things reference paper anymore. And then the last is the Path icon. So Path has done really well with color and their brand in this case. So they've basically owned red, like a big red button, which no one else really did in the social networking space. So that's their color. And then they also they have this great P that it's very stylized, but it it's very stylized, but it's very distinctive as well. And so that works out very well for them, and it contrasts very well from the background. And then if you look at the right and revisit our whoopee cushion example, you can see sort of like different approaches to this that people have taken. So you'll see that there's the top one looks like the whoopee cushion that you would buy as a kid or win at a carnival. Like it looks like the logo that's imprinted on the actual whoopee cushions, which is pretty cool. Then you just got like the pretty simple stylized whoopee cushion, though it kind of looks like a speech bubble or a thought bubble. And then the third one, Dewap Inc., has got like the unique sort of dot color style, which is interesting that they chose that. And then all the way at the bottom, you've got this app that's totally different color, totally different symbol. And that's another strategy, is to just kind of be totally contrarian. It does the same thing, which is make fart noises, and please bear with my sense of humor for a minute on this, but it's a very different approach to it, right? So those are some examples of icons. Now, if you want to get your icon made, you kind of have this spectrum on the right here of cost and quality. So as kind of a rule, the more expensive it is in terms of design, usually the higher quality you're going to get. I would say you have to be very hands-on in the process no matter what, but especially if you're trying to go lower in this cost-quality scale, being extremely hands-on is very, very important for making sure you get a decent quality app for your cost, decent quality icon. Now, so the top option is hiring a design firm. I've listed sort of the most prominent ones here. All of these things, they do great work. They honestly cost like thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, but they give you an app icon that looks professional every time. The second is to hire a designer freelance. I actually think that if you're a venture-backed startup, this is or if you're maybe looking at trying to acquire some seed funding or trying to get your indie game off the ground, this is the best option for you. because you can reach out into your network. You can usually strike a deal either to sort of defer the revenue from it, and do like a revenue share, or for equity in your company, or you can just pay cash, and it's usually going to be sort of between $1,000 and $2,000 is my experience. Third is 99 Designs. So 99 Designs, if you're really trying to get something out there cheaply, it's going to be the best ratio of quality to cost as long as you stay on top of it. So if you're really, following up with the designers each day, communicating with the top designers, you can probably get a... Hello and welcome back. Sorry about that. My computer froze mid-recording. So with 99 Designs, you can probably get a reasonable quality icon made for about $500-$600, which is kind of, I think, the silver tier at 99 Designs. And then lowest on the cost quality scale is Odesk/Elance, or just any sort of outsourced design help. Frankly, you're getting international people to make an icon for like $20 to $50 an hour. So while it might give you something that's a deal, it's not usually up to par in terms of quality. And so then I would recommend, honestly, if you're trying to be as cheap as possible, doing it yourself. And I'm going to give you some resources to help you do that, when sort of, and that will follow up the video, and be in the class section. Now we're going to move on to part 4, outmaneuver competing apps, which will be in the next video.